Hello everyone and welcome back to Carvenus 14. Now today we are going to be doing a Arlecchino video on Genshin Impact. I know it's been a while, especially considering that this channel kind of started off with, well, not really kind of started off with, but you know what I'm saying. Genshin was my first proper game that I decided to start doing guides for, and my channel profile and banner is also related to Arlecchino, so the fact that I haven't been posting any Arlecchino videos recently is probably not a good thing. But it's simply because, well, I haven't really been thinking about, I haven't really been coming up with any video ideas for Arlecchino, because I feel as though I've done everything I needed to on her. Yeah. But that's besides the point. Today, we are going to be talking about why you guys should pull for Arlecchino. Now, as you all know, I've already done multiple guides on Arlecchino, talking about how you should, like, what her kit is, how you should build her, her best artifacts, her best teammates, her C1 versus R1. I've done all of those topics, but I realized that I never actually gave you guys a good reason to pull for Arlecchino, so today we're going to try and change that. Today we're going to go over some reasons why I think you should pull for Arlecchino. Now, Arlecchino is a really cool character, alright? But this video isn't going to be about her damage numbers or her point in the meta or anything like that, because that's all obvious, right? When it comes to why you should pull, I'd like to think about more than what the character actually does in the team. Like, you can make anyone in Genshin Impact your main DPS. I mean, I've done it with both Zhongli and also Shenhe. And Shenhe is arguably the worst character in the game to make a physical DPS. So, yeah, well, not the worst. That's probably someone else, like Aloy or something. But, onwards. So, anyway, guys, why should you pull for Arlecchino? Well, it's simple. Number one, she is very good looking. I mean, I don't know about you, but I really like Arlecchino. In fact, I'm actually a huge fan of the let's say, less skimpy outfits in the game. You know how in Genshin Impact there's a lot of characters that just seem to show a lot of skin? I think that, honestly, that's not a bad idea, but Arlecchino is, I think, the most fully clothed woman in the entire game. In fact, the only pieces of skin she really exposes are her hands, which, I'm gonna be honest, I thought they were her gloves at first. I know it's kind of weird, because, like, why do her gloves have painted fingernails, and why is she wearing her rings on top of her gloves? But I was like, maybe it's just the thing in Fontaine or something, but no. And also her face. Like, those are the only two parts of her body that are actually, exposed. Everything else is completely covered. Like, she doesn't have anywhere else on her body exposed, which is good, because she is a traditional woman, alright, guys? She does not expose her skin to anyone else but you. Unless you look on various sources, which I'm not going to name here. But, you get the point. Now, but the first thing is first, her design. She's got a very lovely design. She's got symmetry and asymmetry in her, design, like, right? I mean, everything kind of has its equal on each side, but there's also a little bit of asymmetricality going on, like these two tips at the bottom of her what's it called, the crochet, or I don't actually know the name of it, but then you've also got her brochet, which has different positioning, and then you've got her, her buttons, and then you've got her hair, and oh man, the flicks in her hair, and the fact that she's got long hair is also pretty surprising, I'm gonna be honest, but Arlecchino has one of the best designs in the game, and that's actually pretty damn nice. Now, of course, moving on from her design, what else makes Arlecchino amazing? It's simple. Arlecchino is a breath of fresh air when it comes to personality in this game. Like, we don't really have a lot of games where where one of the characters is a villain, but they're not outrightly cruel, Like, I mean,
Never mind.
Arlecchino,
let them do as they please,
might actually be one of the nicest villains in the game. I mean, she's not nice. Obviously, she's cold, she's ruthless, she's calculative. But towards the people that she considers close, she is a pretty nice person to be around, right? I mean, look at how she treats the children in the house of the... Okay, we'll forget her story, but at the end of the day, she's a woman of principles. She's got her own rules that she likes to stick to, and she's not even doing this for the Tsaritsa at this point. She's simply just, I don't know what she's really doing or what her motive is, but that's another point. She's a woman of mystery. We don't really know who or what Arlecchino is, apart from the lore, which
Something
I
you
don't
wish
know
to
if you
report?
guys actually
Go
do
on.
listen to
You have
or
my
read
undivided
or
attention.
watch videos on, but there is actually a new lore theory that not Rocha, sorry, that's Wuthering Waves, that Renova and Arlecchino are somehow connected because of their powers and pretty similar aesthetics those two both have. So yeah, it's actually a pretty interesting theory, to be fair, that they're both connected somehow, but I have my own theory on it, and maybe I'll make a video on how it works, maybe not, but yeah. But anyway, guys, that's another thing. Now, that's basically all of the design stuff about Arlecchino and her story and her actual lore and all of that out of the way, right? Like, Arlecchino, the reason I pulled for her is because she just intrigues me as a character. I really like her design, her personality is amazing as well. She's not outright a bad guy, right? To those people that see her as a villain, they haven't really understood who she really is, right? But it was like that for me. When I first saw her, I thought she was a, outright villain, but after playing the Fontaine story a bit more, I realized that she's actually not all that it seems, and I love that about her. She's a layered character, which has different layers that you need to uncover yourself to truly understand who she is. But now, enough with the actual personality test and character design. The next point is that she has one of the coolest animations in the game, right? I mean, I actually pulled for Zhongli because of this, because of the fact that he can kick his polearm, and I remember a lot of people actually wanted to be the polearm back when Zhongli came out, so I was not one of them. I am a man, not a lady who likes men. I'm a man that likes ladies, and so I replaced him with Shenhe. So yeah. Now, Arlecchino also has a very lovely looking combat style, right? Like, all her attacks are really cool. And that's it. And also another thing that you can do is charge attack. A charge attack is also very unique, right? Because most polearm units have this similar type of drill attack, basically, which, I'm going to be honest, does get boring after a while. So Arlecchino, and to be fair, Zhongli also has a different charge attack. But Arlecchino having a different charge attack is really nice. And you can also fly with her as well. Well, not fly, but hover. And that's why Arlecchino is really good for exploration, because Arlecchino can just hover above a piece of water. Now, unfortunately, she can't go over lava, because that will still burn her, slowly. So she can go over it, but it will still kill her. Yeah. Also, another thing is, if you do decide to pull for Arlecchino, you probably might want to pull for her weapon. Not from a meta standpoint, but from an aesthetic standpoint. I mean, look at that, right? Look at that. Like, that is so damn insane. And in fact, you know what? I'm gonna teleport and show you guys why Arlecchino should be worth pulling even more, because she has the best infusion in the game, like, hands down. I don't care if Mavuika has a bike, right? Does she have a scythe? No, I thought not. So, what we're gonna do, find ourselves some enemies. Oh, right, and you can also, like, just auto-lock onto things, but I failed, clearly. So, yeah, you can auto-lock onto any object, right? And for some reason, Arlecchino's E does actually just do that. Like, it will really just, you know, lock onto some, like, anything else that's closer other than an enemy. But it doesn't really happen that often. In fact, this is probably the only time I can actually think of that it's actually happened to me like that. So, yeah. But anyway, once the enemy comes over, we're gonna surprise him. We're gonna spook him. We're gonna... Whoa!
Laser bear.
Alright, that's all I need. Now, time to go back. So yeah, now, why is this important? That's the wrong teleportation waypoint. Where's the right one? That's the right one. Now, the reason why this is important is because from a gameplay standpoint, look at Arlecchino's scythe now, right? It looks pretty cool, doesn't it? She's burning, of course. But now, look at this. You see that? You see the infusion? It looks pretty damn cool, doesn't it? Now, watch the second attack. There. You see why Arlecchino is cool now? Like, her infusions have some of the coolest effects. ever. And I'm going to be honest, Arlecchino's constellations make her even better, like in terms of aesthetics, because Arlecchino C6, I believe, gives her like this fiery wisp on her back. I don't have it. I don't have Arlecchino C6, but she does get it, right? Because I've seen people that have C6 Arlecchinos have that thing after they absorb a bond of life, and it's a really cool look, right? Yeah. But seriously, this is pretty damn cool aesthetics. Now, another reason why you should pull for Arlecchino, well, we're actually going into the probably the important stuff now. It's simple. She's one of the easiest characters to build in the game. I know what you're thinking. What do you mean the easiest character to build? Her set is one of the most annoying things to farm because it's the only reason you would farm there is for Arlecchino and Chlorand, right? No. You see, you guys are wrong, because Arlecchino doesn't need Fragments of Harmonic Whimsy in order to be strong. All she needs is this, right? Gladiator's Finale. Now, Gladiator's Finale synergizes so well with Arlecchino's kit because it gives her attack, and it also gives her a 35% normal attack increase, right? Which is so nice, right? In fact, a lot of people will actually just be passively farming this set while you get it from boss drops, because unlike a lot of artifact sets in the game, Wanderer's Troop and Gladiator's Finale don't have an artifact domain, right? The only way you get them is by farming bosses, and that just means you're passively getting Gladiator's Finale sets while you're just farming for bosses and doing stuff for open world, and you can even get some Gladiator's Finale pieces through some quests and things like that as well. It's very rare, they don't do it anymore, but at the beginning of the game, you do. So, yeah, it's pretty damn cool, I'm gonna be honest. Pretty damn cool that she can do that. Also, her weapon. Her weapon is also very free-to-play friendly because her best free-to-play weapon is unironically the White Tassel. Why? Because you get a base attack increase, right? I mean, not a base attack increase, but like your crit, it gives you crit rate, 23.4, which actually gives you more than her own weapon. So there's that. But there's also the passive, which increases your normal attack damage by 24%. At R5, which what you guys will have, is 48%. A 48% normal attack damage increase is insane. So if you pair 48% paired with a 35%, that will be 73% normal attack damage bonus. Now, no, not 73, sorry, 83%. Yeah, 83% normal attack damage bonus is ridiculous, right? That is genuinely something else. Yeah. Now, why is my White Tassel not R5? Well, it's simple. I was a bit of an idiot, and I decided to use my weapons to enhance my other equipment. And White Tassel, unfortunately, is one of the very rare 3-star weapons in the game that you don't get through the Wishing Simulator. Like, you don't... Not the Wishing Simulator, the gacha system, right? The only way you can get the White Tassel is by opening Precious and Luxurious chests, I believe, in Leeway, and that's the only way you get it. So, yeah, I unfortunately used up all of my White Tassels, so I don't really have any anymore, apart from this one, which I should probably lock, just in case I use this as well. There we go. So yeah, but that's another thing, right? Guys, Arlecchino is really easy to build because her weapon is, she's got a very good free-to-play friendly weapon and a very good, artifact set, right? Yeah, like, it doesn't require a lot of investment or a lot of time, so she's very free-to-play and casual friendly, because I know there are people out there like me that have lives that they need to get over to. They can't spend 2-3 hours farming a dungeon, right, just to get some subpar artifacts, okay? And there is, of course, the new system as well, which gives you a free artifact, but you can only do it once every single patch, which is like, I have to wait 6 weeks just to get one artifact that is desired for me. So, yeah, it's still not really much of an upgrade, but it's an upgrade nonetheless, I guess. So, yeah. And you've got her weapon, which is also free-to-play friendly. Now, another thing is, well, why should you also pull for Arlecchino again? Simple. Her constellations are bloody brilliant, is what I'm telling you, right? If you are a free-to-play player who has hoarded a lot of primos like me, right, for a new character, Arlecchino is one of the best characters one of the arguably best characters to spend those primos on. Why do I say that? Simple. C1, C2, and C3 are all goated constellations. Like, these are the 3 best constellations in the entire game for a DPS, okay? And the reason I say that is, this is just a massive damage boost to Arlecchino's normal attacks. This is a damage boost to Arlecchino's charged attack, and it does 2 things. Number 1, it gives you increased damage on your charge attack with an AoE an AoE pyro damage, which scales off of 900%. Okay, 900%, and that sounds like a lot. The thing is my Arlecchino, when she critically strikes with this attack, it normally hits for around 70 to 80,000. Okay, yeah, that's insane. 70 to 80,000 on top of the original charge attack damage, right? Yeah. And if I don't crit, it's around, like 40,000 or like 30,000, something like that, which is still pretty good, right? Yeah. And also, on top of that, after you absorb a blood debt bond, right, you also gain an extra 20% physical and elemental resistance, which, just to let you know, this is also on top of your passive here, okay? This passive, not this passive. Yeah, this passive. This is on top of this passive. So if you have everything on, this is up to 40% resistance to everything. 40% physical and elemental resistance, which definitely takes the burden off of you having a shielder, because now you'll just be a lot tankier with Arlecchino, right? You can take more damage. So yeah, because this passive alone is not really that much, but once you pair it with the C2, then you realize, okay, Arlecchino's able to take a serious beating. That could go... That has 2 different meanings, but you catch my drift. So, yeah. Alright? Now, another thing that Arlecchino's Constellation 2 does is it basically makes her so much easier to play, because you guys know the 5-second rule where you have to use Arlecchino's elemental skill, use your supports, and come back 5 seconds later, and then, use her charge attack to absorb the blood debt due. You don't need to do that anymore. The 5-second rule is gone. So you can start off with your supports, then E, and then charge attack straight away on Arlecchino and just go to town, basically. So it makes Arlecchino a lot easier to play, right? And C3 just increases Arlecchino's normal attack multipliers, which is her main source of damage. C4 and C5, well, C4 doesn't really buff Arlecchino's damage. It's more for her, her energy requirements, which she doesn't really have a problem with, because her best teammate is Bennett, who doesn't really, he's a pretty good pyro battery by himself, so... Honestly, energy is not really an issue for Arlecchino, in my opinion, and her C5 increases her burst damage, and her C6 is absolutely insane, which gives her a massive crit rate and crit damage boost. But that's besides the point. Arlecchino's investment level, especially early on, this is why I'm saying, if you have a load of primos and you want, your Arlecchino to do a little bit better, you cannot go wrong with getting her C1 or her C2 or her C3, right? But after C3, I wouldn't really recommend it if you have a little bit of primos left, but... if you want to go, basically the best stopping points is like C1, 2, 3, and C6. Like, those are the best stopping points, right? So you really can't go wrong with investment in higher level for Arlecchino. Now, what is
Staring
another
into my
thing
eyes is ill-advised.
that Arlecchino does
can't promise
really
you'll
well?
like what
Well,
you
it's simple. Arlecchino's best teams are very free-to-play friendly, okay? I mean, let's see what teams I actually have. Party setup. Yeah, now, let's see what teams I actually have. So we've got this team, which is my main team, and I really like this team because of how consistent it is. I'm a no-reactions enjoyer when it comes to Genshin Impact. I'm not really a huge fan of reactions because it kind of steals the limelight for the hypercarry, in my opinion. But this is my current team, which is a double pyro, double geo team, which is technically a mono pyro team because it's the only element that you actually really have here, right? Yeah. Now, Bennett, let's talk about this. Bennett, it's very easy to get Bennett. Now, you don't get him for free, I believe. There was a chance where you could have gotten him for free, but that was a while ago. But you can still, he's very easy to get, right? So Bennett is also really, really good. Like, he's the only 6-star character in the game that everyone calls him. Yoonjin is also very easy to get, simply because Yoonjin, yes, is a 4-star that came out relatively recently, 2.3, which was a long time ago for me now. But, she kind of came out during the point where 4-star characters weren't really that good, but Yoonjin is one of the better 4-stars that actually got released then, which I'm glad. Now, Yoonjin complements Arlecchino's kit really well because of the fact that, you know, she buffs normal attacks, and Arlecchino's a normal attack damage unit. And Yoonjin is also free to obtain in the Lantern Rite Festival, right? In fact, including this one that's currently coming out, she will be free to obtain, so you guys can definitely go ahead. Now, this is also another team that you can definitely grab with go with Candice. Candice is also a normal attack buffer. Now, this is a bit of a scuffed team, to be honest, so I wouldn't really recommend it unless your Candice is C6, which isn't really as feasible. But if you want, you can actually replace Candice with someone like Jing Chi, who's also really, really strong, right? So, yeah. This is also a mono pyro team that you can go for. Zhang Ling you get for free after completing Spiral Abyss. Sucrose you also get very early on in the game, and she's very easy to obtain as well. Now, this team is very free-to-play friendly, a mono pyro team without, you know, Sucrose, but with the new character Lan Yan that's coming out, you can actually replace Sucrose with Lan Yan, and she'll actually still do a really, really good job. Except Lan Yan would provide more shielding capabilities rather than elemental mastery offensive capabilities. So yeah, there is that, but she's still really good, Sucrose. And once Lan Yan comes out, a team with Lan Yan with Arlecchino would be really strong as well. So yeah. Now, this is an overload team that you can have with Chevreuse. Now, why am I saying this? It's simple. Chevreuse is going to be on the banner for Arlecchino. Yeah, she's going to be on that banner, which is really, really nice, because Chevreuse is one of the best units in the game. The only reason she's not insanely strong is because she's very, very limited. She's only built for overload teams. However, for overload teams, she is amazing. A resistance shred to Pyro and Electro, attack buff for Pyro and Electro units, and a damage bonus buff at C6. Even at C0, her kit is so good, right? But at C6, it gets a lot better. So, yeah. Now, Fischl is also a really good Electro applicator, and Beidou is a very fun character to use with her parry mechanic, and she's also really good at applying Electro as well with her ultimate. Now, Beidou you can also obtain for free in the Lantern Rite Festival if you want her, and this is another team archetype that you can go. A double Hyro, double Pydro team with Candice as a buffer, which it's not a bad team because you don't need to worry about Hydra applications. Yeah. So there is that, and you also don't need Candice to be C6 with this, right? Because you already have a Hydra applicator. You just need to stack as much HP on Candice as humanly possible. So that's another reason why Arlecchino is so amazing. Not only is she very easy to build, but she's also very, very free-to-play friendly with teammates as well. She doesn't need premium units, right? She doesn't need premium units to do damage. She already does damage with a very free-to-play friendly team, right? Yeah. And also, that's another thing, right? Arlecchino has one of the easiest playstyles in the game, where most characters have, like, you know, Night Soul mechanics, and, you know, the Fontaine characters need to, you know, they've got, like, their Numa and Uija, and they have to heal and stuff like that. Arlecchino doesn't have to worry about any of that. All you do with Arlecchino is just normal attack. This is all you're doing the entire time, right? You E... charge attack, and then you just normal attack. And then maybe charge attack spam to jump between enemies. Like, that is literally it for Arlecchino. Like, you really don't need to do much with her, right? Now, a lot of people are saying that Arlecchino is not really that great as a free-to-play player because she's quite difficult to make work. Now, why do people say that? It's simple. Arlecchino is the only character in the game that cannot be healed while she's in combat. Now, is that an issue? Yes, it is, because it means that she can't really be paired with some units that love draining health. Farina, right? Farina and Arlecchino unfortunately don't work that well together. You can make them work, but the team comp is so specific and limited that honestly it might not be worth it, because if you have a lot of money to splurge around on a gacha game, the Farina and Arlecchino team definitely can work. However, if you're free to play, then it's not really that advisable. Now, another thing is that you kind of do you are kind of incentivized to run a shielder with Arlecchino, right? Because obviously you take damage without it and you can't really heal. So a lot of players would take someone like Zhongli, but most people in the community now, or in the Genshin Impact community now, will actually have Zhongli. But if you are one of those players that are very new to the game and you don't have Zhongli, well, you've still got solid options. You've got Noelle, Layla, yeah, Noelle, Layla, Lanyan, that's going to be coming out. Toma's also not a bad unit. There are 4-star shielding units in the game that do exist. That is very nice for someone like Arlecchino. But if you want more premium units, you've got someone like Zhongli, Citlali, who's coming out now as well. Who else? Well, in terms of shielders, Baiju as well, but Baiju would incentivize more of a burning team, so I guess if you want to run that, you could go with that. So, yeah. See, this is the thing about Arlecchino. She's really flexible. You could slot her into any team and she would work. Mono Pyro, double Geo, double Pyro, double Hydro, a Melt team with Citlali, a Hyper Carry team with, like, you know, with someone like Xilonin, Citlali, and, Mavuika, or a Mavuika, Xilonin, and Kazuha hypercarry team, that would also work. A Burning or a Burgeon team would also work quite well. Arlecchino is really, really flexible in the regard that she could just be put into any team and she will perform. That's what makes Arlecchino really, really amazing, in my opinion. So, yeah. Now, is there anything else that I really want to talk about when it comes to Arlecchino? Not really. I mean, I think I've basically labeled every single reason why you guys would want to pull for Arlecchino. So, yeah, she's brilliant in terms of design and gameplay, and effectively very free-to-play friendly. She's easy to build, and her teammates are also very easy to acquire as well, and build. So, yeah. But that is basically it, everyone. I don't really think there's any other points for Arlecchino that I'd really like to make, unless I'm forgetting something off the back of my head. Yeah, so, of course, Arlecchino not having the ability to heal may throw some people off. Now, is there a way to kind of counteract this? Yes. Well, her C1 and C2 definitely help, because her C1 also allows Arlecchino to not get interrupted, right, while she's in her Pyro state. So that's also very, very nice, right? Now, the thing is that you will still take damage, you just won't be knocked back by it. And another thing is her C2 will make her more tankier. But of course, for those of you that don't have the Primos to spend on Constellations, is there really another solution? Unfortunately, unless you have a shielder, there isn't really another solution, because you can't really... I mean, you could get damage mitigators, right? But what's the point of going damage mitigators when you could just get a shielder, right? Yeah, like someone like Dea might seem like a really nice pick, but Dea is arguably one of the worser units in the game to have right now. Yeah, as a sub DPS slash damage mitigation slash tanker kind of character. Yeah. In fact, the only mitigator I would say is good is Xingqi, because he does so many things outside of just mitigating damage. Number one, he mitigates damage, obviously. Number two, he heals, which obviously won't apply to Arlecchino, so we'll get rid of that point. But he also applies a lot of Hydro, right? And what does that mean? A lot of vaporized reactions. So, yeah. That's why Xingqi is a really strong unit with someone like Arlecchino, because yes, Xingqi works amazingly with Hu Tao, but unlike Arlecchino, Hu Tao can be healed, you just don't want to. Arlecchino physically cannot heal, so someone like a damage mitigator like Xingqi, and also providing offensive application like Hydro is really, really strong, right? Yeah, but that's basically it for the video, guys. I have been Carvenus14, and still am, and I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. I will see you all very, very soon. Goodbye.